Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, Lucy Johnston.
As you just heard Jason Wino mention, Hardrock MMA 97 women's amateur fight here. We've got a bantamweight matchup between Lucy Johnston and Dani Harris, and both of these fighters coming from top-level gyms. Lucy Johnston representing Vision MMA out of Cincinnati, Ohio. 5'5", 30 years old. Said she got into MMA after she kind of got bored doing triathlons and road races and fell in love with boxing, and then started MMA after that. So really interesting. She said she predicts her first round TKO win here. So big words out of a amateur debut fighter.
Then we have Dani Harris, also new to the cage fighting. This is her second fight, 0-1 record out of Louisville, Kentucky, Area 502 MMA under black belt Phil Perkins. So should be a good matchup. Always fun to watch the female fights on the card.
They more often than not steal the show.
They do.
And as you mentioned, Kelly, we saw Dani Harris back at Hardrock MMA 95 in December. Lost a decision, close fight against Morgan Cranford. That was her debut. Coming out of Area 502. She is a BJJ blue belt under Phil Perkins. So
was one of the few female wrestlers in the state of Kentucky during her time
in
high school.
Also now runs the Kentuckiana Women's Jiu-Jitsu Club. I know some of the top fighter, Linda Mahalik, is involved in that. Gina Elliott, sorry.
Gina Elliott.
Still is hard to call her Gina Elliott, but Gina Elliott. So, and I know that Dani Harris is a highly involved in that. So
it's a continually growing niche and a real tight-knit community is the female Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Kentucky. I know Professor Scott Smith is a strong advocate of it in Louisville. There's a lot of support for the females within the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world.
And awesome to see them get that opportunity. I follow the social media for the Jiu-Jitsu Club Kentuckiana, and they're always super active, and looks like they get pretty good turnouts at their events. So very cool. Jason Wine will have the official introduction.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, this contest is in the 135-pound weight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the red corner, weighing at 135 pounds, representing Vision MMA from Cincinnati, Ohio, Lucy Johnston. And introducing her opponent, fighting out of the B2 digital blue corner, weighing at 136 pounds, representing Area 502 from Louisville, Kentucky, Dani Harris.
Women's bantamweight action here, Hardrock MMA 97. Dani Harris in the pink shorts, Lucy Johnston in the black. Cage door shut, ready to go.
These can go quick.
Rob Mooney now in the cage for this one, refereeing. Johnston trying to throw some strikes here early on as Harris with the clinch trying to get this fight to the ground. We saw her continuously try to do that against Morgan Cranford.
Despite losing in her first fight, Dani Harris did a good job of managing the distance and controlling the pace of the fight. And it appears she's doing the same, minimizing the distance, getting in close, trying to get the fight to the ground.
Looking for, it looks like somebody already has some blood, maybe blood out of the nose here of Dani Harris. I see it dripping on that left thigh of Lucy Johnston. Looks like a lot of blood now.
Could be Dani's nose.
Yeah, definitely dripping out of that nose as Johnston trying to push that head away. Now Dani trying to get that ankle pick. Johnston now with a nice knee to the body there, framing that landing that nice knee, but Harris still trying to get this takedown.
Got to be a lot of energy being exerted with this against the cage.
Energy exerted from both fighters.
Yes.
Johnston doing a good job here, staying on her feet, using that whizzer. But it looks like Harris now going to try to finish that single leg. To finish this, she needs to get her head up.
Halfway through the first round.
Almost sort of hike that leg between her leg and do what they call run the pipe. Hard to do up against the cage, though. That's why you see a lot of times fighters against the cage won't look for a single leg. Double leg or even a high crotch takedown, a lot easier to finish up against the cage. Now has those arms clasped. She needs to get her hips below the hips of Johnston, which she hasn't been able to do yet.
Push your head. Wide legs.
Dani's corner, Phil Perkins with the instructions. Also in Dani's corner is Alex Hacker and Aaron Shekels.
Surprised that Harris hasn't tried to switch to a double leg here. It looks like Johnston, not sure if she's going to try to elevate.
30 seconds left in the first round. Dani Harris is very committed to this single leg. Like I said earlier, David, it just looks like so much energy is being exerted.
Yeah, I mean, you do clinch fighting for even a minute or 2 minutes, and you're going to be exhausted. Some nice shots there from Lucy Johnston, and 10 seconds left. She may be winning this round with her back against the cage. I mean, she bloodied the nose of Dani Harris early in that first round, and those few shots there were really the only thing of substance in that first round. Between the first 10 seconds or so, and then which there was striking, and then those few shots there, most of the rest of the round was just Harris trying to get the fight to the ground and unable to do so. Do you score that round for Johnston? That's a tough one.
Got to say that probably goes to Johnston, in my opinion, being that I saw her land a couple knees, and it appears she opened up the blood from Dani's nose.
Yeah, it's the old Randy Couture, Brandon Vera argument of can you win a fight basically laying on somebody for an entire fight and trying for the takedown but not getting it, but controlling the cage.
If you're Phil Perkins, what are you telling Dani?
I think you're probably telling her maybe switch to a double leg if you want to get that takedown. Either that or maybe even a body lock takedown, something like that. The single leg was not working for her in that first round. So I think if you're Johnston's corner, it looks like she wants to maybe try to stay on her feet and maybe tell her to keep your range and stay a little bit on the outside and pick your shots, because she's definitely going to try to grab you and look for another takedown. I don't think that she's going to abandon her game plan here in the second round.
Punches and bunches. Punches and bunches.
You hear the corner of Johnston instructing to throw a lot of punches. He said punches and bunches.
And she started out the first round doing that until Harris grabbed a hold of her. A kick there and then a punch. And now Johnston starting to tee off here against Harris. Harris does not like this, turning her back. This might get stopped. Harris taking a lot of punishment. Rob Mooney was looking at it close, but again, same thing that happened in the first round. Harris grabs a hold of her. Looks like she may just be the stronger fighter in the clinch here. Johnston trying to push away the head of Harris. Nice knee to the body. But again, it's so hard to win rounds off of your back with your back on the cage like that.
That's a good point. You never know in the mind of the judges exactly.
You see blood just leaking out of the nose of Dani Harris. Harris now trying to get that double leg. Needs to lock those hands together to be able to finish that double leg.
2 minutes left in the second round. We'll see if we're right back where we were in the first round. We'll see if Dani can execute the takedown. Very clear Dani wants this on the ground. Lucy wants this to stay standing.
Doing a good job fighting in that clinch. Trying to get that underhook.
Yes, there you go.
Nice knee there off of her back, or back against the cage for Johnston.
There you go. She's tired.
Harris, you see, the big thing here is she's bent at her hips and she's basically leaning over. It's hard to finish a takedown like this. You almost need to be in a squat position to try to finish a takedown. You need to get your power from your legs and not from your arms and back. And she's pushing when she needs to pull.
As easy it is to be critical of Dani's strategy at this point, you and I have both seen fights, very deliberate, and then at some point it works.
Yeah.
And then everything turns around. Maybe if Dani can get this to the ground, the tune of this fight will change.
Yeah, it definitely, but is it going to be too little too late? Is she going to be down 2 rounds to none if she can do it in the 3rd round?
30 seconds left in the 2nd round. It appears she's facing a 0-2 deficit, so she'll have to be banking on, I guess you would say, a stoppage maybe in the 3rd round if something doesn't happen here in these last 17 seconds.
And for Johnston, it's interesting because, I mean, really, she hasn't done a ton. She's inflicted damage that's very obvious from the bloody nose, but there hasn't been a ton of output from either fighter really in this fight. So it's hard to say that she definitively won the round, but I mean, if you're looking at it, Harris just basically stymied and really unable to do anything other than attempt for that takedown. Harris was in bad shape before she locked on to Johnston.
Oh, yeah. If Harris didn't do such a good job of minimizing the distance, getting in there close, which she did, to her credit, she did a good job of. This fight may be over if they were leaving it to standing and they were allowing Lucy Johnston to fight her fight, which is clearly wanting to throw.
Yeah. Dr. Sparks took a look at that cut, or not cut, but the bloody nose, said she's ready to go for Dani Harris. And yeah, I think if you're the corner of Phil Perkins, you got to be you got to know that your fighter's probably down 2 rounds to none. So. And I think if you're Jeremy Pender, you say, hey, let those hands go. If you can win the fight by letting your hands go for the first 30 seconds and then she's just going to lay on you or attempt for this takedown, stay on your feet, land some shots, and let's get out of here with a win. Two experienced gyms here. 2 of the top gyms in the area. It's Vision MMA versus Area 502, Cincinnati versus Louisville. I know where you stand on that side of the argument.
Yeah, I'm certainly a Louisville guy. You would be the Cincinnati representation.
Johnston.
Dani's down. Oh, this fight's going to be stopped.
And Harris took a little bit too much punishment. Nice job there. Johnston predicted the TKO win, gets it in the 3rd round as opposed to the 1st round.
Now it's just a matter of did Dani take some damage to an eye maybe?
Yeah, she definitely looked like she was holding her eye or something when she went down. It's going to be a win for Lucy Johnston here.
All right, Lexington, 12 seconds of the 3rd round. Referee Mooney has called a stoppage to the fight due to unanswered strikes for your winner, Lucy Big Bertha Johnston.
Lucy Johnston, Vision MMA. 1-0 now. And for the time of that fight where she was striking, she looked impressive for a debut fighter. And that's the benefit of training with a top-level gym. They're not going to put you in there unless you're ready.
Back to the gym, get to work on a couple specific areas that I'm sure they will have her work on, and who knows, this could be the beginning to a very successful career for Lucy Johnston.